Our movie begins with Seth, who works at an animal control department. He's in charge of feeding the dogs because he's so caring towards animals and loves them. On his way home, he sees a young lady named Holly and starts having a crush on her. He introduces himself while she's writing in her journal, but Holly forgets about Seth, who turns out to be her schoolmate in high school. The following day, Seth meets Nate, who works as a security guard at his office. He asks Nate for advice for how to approach his crush. Nate tells him to be more confident and approach her gently. Shortly after, his boss informs him that the shelter's capacity is getting full due to the increasing number of the abandoned animals. Therefore, one of the dogs has to be put down so that the cage can be used by other dogs. Sadly, he gives up one of his favorite dogs to be killed. Seth extensively researches Holly's online profile to find any information about her. The following day, he goes to the restaurant where Holly works as a waitress. He tries to ask her out, but she turns him down. After work, Seth tails Holly back to her house. Holly talks about the encounter earlier with her friend Claire. After a while, she takes a drunken phone call from her ex-boyfriend, Eric, who cheated on her. Holly receives a large bouquet of roses at work the following day, assuming they are from Eric. At the same night, she goes to the bar where Eric works at to thank him for the gift. Surprisingly, Eric says that he wasn't the one who sent the flowers. Confused by Eric's words, she decides to go out for a while. Seth, who has been following her all this time, suddenly asks her impression about the flowers. Hearing the answer from her, Seth denies the statement that Holly rejects his love, leading to a physical confrontation. Eric sees the incident and straight away beats Seth up. However, Seth is able to steal Holly's journal. He spends the following several days reading every detail in the journal. As his performance declines at work, Seth discovers a trapdoor to a basement in an abandoned room of the animal shelter, where he sets constructing a steel cage for several days ahead. Not only that, he takes some anesthetic and tries it to find out how effective it is on himself. He sneaks back into Holly's house after he finishes preparing all his equipment. Eventually, Seth manages to kidnap Holly when she's about to go to sleep. He carries Holly's body into the basement that was found earlier using a cardboard. After Holly awakens in the cage, she tries to escape by removing the chains that lock the cage until her nails fall off. Not long after, Seth comes to give her some food. Nevertheless, Holly still refuses to eat. Holly vows to survive. Oddly, she talks to Claire all night. At some point, Seth informs her that he has heard Holly talking in both her own and Claire's voice in the past. Turns out that Holly has personality disorders. He says that he loves her and he has imprisoned her to save her. He also reveals that he knows the truth about her past from the journal. In a flashback, Holly discovered that Eric had slept with Claire and confronted her about it during a car ride. Angry, Holly continued accelerating the car until they were hit by a truck. Although injured, Claire was alive until Holly stabbed her with a glass shard right in the eye. In the end, Claire's death was attributed to the crash. Since then, Holly has committed a series of gruesome murders and has written about them in her journal. When Seth realized the stories were real, he made a plan to save Holly to prevent her from hurting anyone else, claiming that he feels that he has a purpose in his life at the end. Over the following several days, they engage in psychological mind games against each other. As Holly begins to slip details to draw Seth in, Seth insists that Holly committed another murder due to her unrevealed guilt for Claire's death, but she counters that she killed simply because she enjoys it. He keeps thinking of other ways to save Holly, until one day, his boss threatens to fire him because his job is neglected. Nate, who becomes suspicious about Seth recently, follows him and accidentally discovers Holly in the basement. He wants to rescue Holly right away. The moment Seth returns to the basement, Holly deliberately distracts Nate so that Seth has time to deal with him. Seth then hits Nate's head with a flashlight until Nate faints. Holly urges him to kill Nate using a cinder block because she doesn't want Seth to be caught by the police. So she guides the terrified Seth to remove traces of Nate's death by dismembering Nate's body into pieces, which will later be used as dog food, scattering his teeth in different places, and burning his bones at the cremation site. A few days later, the police become suspicious of Seth's role in Nate's disappearance, but Seth succeeds to escape with the help of Holly's words in answering the detective's questions. The days go by and Seth feels all Holly's actions are proof that Holly sincerely loves him. Holly convinces him to prove his love by cutting off his finger. Desperately, Seth does it right in front of Holly, but this gives Holly the opportunity to take his knife and threatens to kill herself if Seth doesn't want to release her. Abruptly, Abruptly, Seth complies with her. She says that she finally believes that he loves her, before slitting his throat. After the shocking incident, Holly is back together with Eric. She finds another evidence that Eric has been cheating again. However, she declines to hurt him. Instead, she travels to a warehouse, where it turns out that Seth is still alive and being kept in a cage, but horribly mutilated and tortured by Holly. She thanks him for saving her by allowing her to take out her murderous nature on him as a substitute. Also, it's revealed that Seth got blind, but still loves her. It shows literally how blind the love is, and the movie ends.